Vanakkam Doha Deva and everyone. Wonderful to be with you again. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We are sharing our first topic. It's an interesting one with an interesting twist. Using television as a spiritual tool. Subtitle. Television, like real life, can help us work through our karma if we approach it in the right way. This is from October 2008, Pubdesk, when I was traveling a lot in the U.S. Very much a U.S. phenomenon described here at the beginning. It's kind of humorous. Television is a little like God. It's everywhere. Traveling by plane and staying in hotels, you encounter TV at dawn in the hotel's fitness center, then in the breakfast cafe, and later at the airport, and even on the plane 30,000 feet above the earth. This is a type of plane where every seat has a television turned on. And then when you get to a hotel room, it's already turned on for you, so you can't escape. A well-researched web article notes that close to 100% of the adult population watch some television every day in the media-saturated societies, North America, Western Europe, East Asia, and in most Latin American countries. 100%. In the rest of the world, with the exception of some African countries and India, where the percentages are 56% and 64%, 2008, of course, TV is the daily fare of 70 to 85% of the adult population. So this is an interesting statistic I just happened to find when I was creating this keynote. It's not in the actual publisher's desk, but if you take a look there on the right, this is in the US, those 65 plus are watching 7 hours of television a day. Imagine that. 7 hours of television, 50 to 64, almost 6 hours of television. I don't know how they fit that in. 35 to 49, it starts to get more reasonable, 3 3/4. 18 to 34, less than 2. All age averages, 4.5 hours of television a day. What a great influence, for better or worse. The best TV shows are viewed all over the world. When Gurudeva visited South Africa in the 1990s, he was advised not to hold events on Wednesday nights because the popular American soap opera Dallas was on that night, and everyone would stay home to watch it. When populations around the globe view the same material on television, it unifies the thinking, for better or worse, and thus the actions of Earth's peoples. Gurudeva observed, today television has become an instrument to convey knowledge and bring the world together, set new standards of living. Language, styles of dress and hair, ways of walking, ways of standing, attitudes about people, ethics, morality, political systems, religions, and all sorts of other things, from ecology to pornography. Television, like the fashion world, has its own trends over the decades. There was a time back in the 60s when nearly every show was about cowboys and Indians set in America's wild, wild west. Then came the era of quiz shows like the $64,000 question and Truth or Consequences. Around the same time, there was a wave of Carol Burnett and Ed Sullivan-type talent shows. Later, TV featured evening dramas, Dynasty, Falcon Crest, and a galaxy of others. More recently, humanity has been inundated with stories about detectives, crime scene investigators, lawyers, reality shows, and dirty, rotten scoundrels. Lately, we have a new breed of fiction and nonfiction programming with mystical themes, prescient dreams, immortality, and reincarnation. Humans with remarkable powers such as reading minds, seeing and speaking to the dead, stopping time, listening to people's thoughts, and flying through space and time. How does significant exposure to television affect us? Is it making us wiser or worldlier? Is it a help or a hindrance to our spiritual progress? And that is your first question. What do you think? Is television making us wiser or worldlier? Is it a help or a hindrance to our spiritual progress? The key lies in how we approach it and what we watch. Approached in the right way, TV can be a tool for spiritual progress. So that's Gurudeva's point of view. It's not automatically a tool, but you have to approach it in the right way, and then it can be a tool for spiritual progress as well as entertainment. To elucidate this point, let's compare TV to the world. Our Paramaguru Yogaswami noted, the world is an ashram, a training ground for the achievement of moksha, liberation. Of course, for that to be true, you have to make it that way. You have to hold that perspective. What is the world to a carefree, fun-loving high schooler? It's a place to party, kick back, and hang out. Upcoming entrepreneur, the world holds the promise of lots of money. Others are focused on fulfilling a profession or perfecting an art. And to some, it's all about relationships, making friends, building a family. In short, the world is what we make it. It's not something unto itself that we all look at the same way. It was totally subjective. In and of itself, the world is not one particular thing. It's all in how we approach it. To the practicing, mystically awakened Hindu, the world is fundamentally a place to make spiritual progress, where we face our karma and grow from experience. Karma normally comes to us through individuals or groups of people. It is not always pleasant. Situations don't always work out fairly. Sometimes we are mistreated. Philosophically, we know that this is a result of our prarabdha karmas. How we face such situations is crucial. The instinctive response is to retaliate. This person is mistreating me, so I'm going to mistreat him in the same way. But if we do retaliate, we create new negative karma, which will return to us as painful experiences in the future. That is not spiritual progress. As I explained in our 2002 Karma Management Insight, the goal is not retaliate, accept the karma that comes to us as our own creation, and ideally forgive and forget the whole event rather than holding on to it and letting it gnaw at us on the inside. When we successfully handle a karma according to these three principles, we make spiritual progress. We are definitely looking at the world as an ashram. And the karma is totally gone. It's been fulfilled. Gurudeva explained this beautifully. Hindus know that the object of life is to go through our experiences joyously and kindly, always forgiving and compassionately understanding, thus avoiding making unseemly kriyamana karmas in our current life, which, if enough were accumulated and added to the karmas we did not bring into this life, we would bring us back into another birth. And the process would start all over again. So we don't want to do that, right? That's like standing still just because we keep reacting and not forgiving. Like living in the world in the right spirit, viewing television from the correct perspective can help us face and manage our karma. As Gurudeva noted, television has afforded us the ability to work through our karmas more quickly than we could in the agricultural age. On TV, the other people who play our past experiences back to us for us to understand in hindsight are actors and actresses, newscasters, and the people in the news they broadcast. Oh, a discussion point on TV. The other people who play our past experiences back to us for us to understand in hindsight. So we need an example. So, for example, we did something adharmic when we were younger and we regret it, and the karma hasn't come back to us yet. So by seeing how adharmic actions come back to other people and how they react, either wisely or unwisely, we temper our reaction before it happens. In other words, we get to rehearse what we're going to do, and therefore we act more wisely, less emotionally, because we see other people acting it out for us on television. Hindus know nothing can happen, physically, mentally, or emotionally, but that it is seated in our prarabdha karmas, the action-reaction patterns brought with us to this birth. Therefore, on the positive side, we look at television as a tool for karmic cleansing. The great boon that television was given humanity, which is especially appreciated by Hindus, is that we can soften our prarabdha karmas quickly by analyzing, forgiving, and compassionately understanding the happenings on the screen. As our past is portrayed before us and as we work with our nerve system, which laughs and cries, resents, reacts to, and avoids experiences on TV. So we already did this. So we'll delete that other slide there. So we get to rehearse it. That's the point we made. We get to see how other people go through it, and therefore we fine-tune how we'll go through it when that day comes for us. That is an all-powerful idea. The television is a tool for karmic cleansing. It's all in our approach, our attitude toward it. Specifically, television helps soften our karmas. The karma still comes to us, but we have prepared ourselves to receive it by watching similar situations on television and getting an understanding of the nature of that kind of action and reaction. We have pre-lived it through the actors and actresses. Thus, when the karma comes, we don't react as strongly, or it comes to us in a less disruptive way. We handle it with less emotion and more wisdom, less reaction, and more understanding. Parents can help their children learn to use television to increase spirituality by watching programs together and discussing them afterwards. Talk about the various characters, their actions, and the consequences of those actions. A good perspective to convey is that all men are your teachers. Some teach you what to do, and others teach you what not to do. That's a great statement, huh? Oftentimes on today's television programs, the principles of reincarnation and karma are presented in one form or another. This can be pointed out and discussed to see how accurately the concept was presented. There's even a popular comedy about karma called My Name is Earl, which tells of a man working hilariously to resolve his past misdeeds. Mystical practices which are common in recent shows, such as being able to read others' thoughts or seeing in the future in a dream, are useful to talk about with children, drawing out lessons to be learned. Before the widespread viewing of television, storytelling was a common form of entertainment. Gurudeva describes this shift. Television at its best is storytelling. We used to sit around and tell stories. The best storyteller who could paint pictures in people's minds was the most popular person in town. In every country, at every point in time, humans have sat down and been entertained, and entertainers have stood up and entertained them. The advantage of storytelling is that the teller or reader of the story can choose tales with strong dharmic themes and avoid those with adharmic ones. With television, while you do have the choice of what shows to watch, the themes and plots are in the hands of the writers and producers who come from all sorts of backgrounds. So it can take some creativity on your part to find ways to view television, personally and with your children, so that it strengthens you spiritually and makes you wiser rather than worldlier. Definitely we don't want to watch TV too much. Gurudeva's advice is, Shiva's devotees may watch television and other media for recreation and to keep informed about the world, limiting viewing to about 2 hours a day. They avoid nudity, foul language, crudeness, and excessive violence. So that's, it's a general guideline. 2 hours a day gives a sense of that 4 hours would be way too much. Television can be very entertaining and helpful, or it can be insidiously detrimental depending on how it is used. Therefore, fortify your mind with a thorough understanding of what you are watching. It's our last slide in the first part there. Basically, it's a tool for handling our karma, if we approach it right. Second topic. Amar Shah, Chicago native, is a corporate speaker with monastic training in Vedanta. He is the inaugural Hindu chaplain at Northwestern University. So we have a Hindu chaplain. That's a rare thing. And he has an In My Opinion piece in the coming issue, the October 2021 issue of Hinduism Today, so you haven't seen it yet. Title, Let Us Be Hindus Again. Subtitle, Let's define our religion by the personal experiences we cull from our spiritual pursuits. Well-written subtitle. In December 1951, in Pune, India, a young sannyasin by the name of Chinmayanandaji publicly declared an audacious observation. Hinduism, as practiced in recent centuries, had fallen severely. No doubt, he said, in India, Hinduism has come to mean nothing more than a bundle of sacred superstitions, or a certain way of dressing, cooking, eating, talking, and so on. Sounds like Vivekananda scolding everyone. He exhorted his audience to study, understand, and then live the values associated by our ancient and sacred religion as consistently as possible. Let us be Hindus, he encouraged. Driven by curiosity and the information age, Hindu knowledge spread across the world, increasing accessibility to its profound forms of self-development. So that's 60 years ago. The last 60 years this has happened, in his opinion. Today, our social media apps are filled with Bhagavad Gita sound bites, shareable quotes, and Hindu activist posts. We sift through our news feeds at a breakneck pace and continue to like, share, and subscribe with a few taps of a finger. However, behind the keyboards and forums, tucked away in the furthest parts of the home, I've seen many altars remaining untouched, gathering dust. How many of us actually practice what we post? I think that's a great statement. The old-fashioned statement is, practice what you preach, meaning don't teach something and then neglect doing it yourself. Or as a parent, don't tell your children how to behave one way and then you don't do that yourself. So this is the modern one. Practice what you post, meaning on social media. Let me find my place. Now, 70 years later, Chinmayanandaji's call to action, let us be Hindus, must be sounded once again. I posit that being Hindu has two fundamental requirements. First, a reverence of Vedas as a legitimate source of knowledge, and second, an active adherence to the Vedic goal of self-improvement and liberation via daily sadhana, parenthesis, spiritual practice. These in mind, I dare ask the reader a question. Do you actually practice Hinduism? Now, that sounds like something I'd write. Without personal practice, this shared knowledge, however global, becomes nothing more than dry philosophy to stagnate in the archives of minds alongside YouTube cat clips, sports highlights, and celebrity memes. In this sense, we run a danger of redefining being Hindu as simply a sharing of religious content. That's an interesting idea. Celebrating one-off, photo op holidays, and online activism. What is the use if knowledge is not applied in the pursuit of self-development and the divine? What is the use if we are Hindu in name only? Maybe we become practicing Hindus. The sadhanas available to us are manifold and multifaceted to suit our innumerable personalities. Puja, japa, dhyana, and swadhyaya, self-study, are a few that come to mind. As my guru has so nicely put it, the array of Hindu sadhana is like a buffet. Just as South Indians will naturally gravitate toward fresh idli, agree with that, and Northerners will eye the paneer-laden gravies, we all have natural compatibility with different sadhanas. Such a variety available, we must pick up at least one practice, sharpen ourselves, and speak from the depths of self-experience. Without sadhana, our online advocacy, philosophical debates, and content sharing will remain relatively ineffective or even detrimental. Let me be clear, however, that such current efforts to be Hindu are not entirely without merit. Indeed, the bhava, feeling, intention, powering our young people is quite righteous and well-spirited. These efforts indicate needs for cultural and spiritual wellness, sense of community, and an ability to be Hindu without fear of prejudice or persecution. Beginning with our colleges and universities, we must establish arenas of satsang, wherein sadhana can be practiced and experiences can be shared, all with careful guidance by formally trained teachers. My position at Northwestern University is a manifestation of students rallying to study scripture and practice sadhana. In the future, I plan to share insights about how we are fostering such a community as I step in as the university's first Hindu chaplain. Oh, that's very good. Thank you very much. Practice what you post. Om. Om. Om.